we're going to look at adding and subtracting complex numbers. So I want you to think of a complex number as one number but made up of two parts, a real part and an imaginary part. So what happens if you add, let's say, a real number to a complex number? So in this case we're going to add 2 to z, and z is 4 minus I, and we're going to add 2 to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just look at the real part of z, and we're going to add 2 to that. So it ends up being 6 minus I. So if we subtract, what happens if we subtract or add an I, just an I by itself, to another complex number? So it's 2 plus 3i, that is w, minus I. So in that case what we get is we're just going to look at the imaginary part of w, and we're going to subtract the I from that. So you end up getting 2 plus 2i. So it's always helpful to look at what's happening in the Argand diagram, or the complex plane. So I have w and z marked in there, and what we're going to do now is we're going to look at z plus 2. So z plus 2 is 6 minus I, which is over here. This is 6 minus I. And what I want you to notice is that you're moving across by 2. Similar to what you would do on the number line. If you add something, you go in this direction. If you subtract something, you go in that direction. But what happens if you add or subtract I? So in this case, w minus I ends up to the point, it goes to the point 2 plus 2i. So what I want you to see is that it's going down by minus I. So similar to the real part going over and back, in this case if you add or subtract, if you add an I, you're going up, and if you subtract an I, you're going down. So what happens if you add two complex numbers to each other? So we're going to do that now. So z plus w, so z plus w, you're going to have 4 minus I plus 2 plus 3i. There's no need really for brackets here because we're adding. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the real part of z and the real part of w, and then add them together, and you're going to take the imaginary part and the imaginary part and add them together. So what you end up getting is you get 4 plus 2, which is 6, and minus I plus 3i is 2i. Now what happens if you subtract them? So in this case I would recommend brackets. So if you have 4 minus I minus 2 plus 3i, which is w. So this will go to 4 minus I minus 2 minus 3i. Once again, what you do is you take the real part and the real part, and you take the imaginary part and the imaginary part. So in this case it will end up being 6, so 4 minus 2, which is 2, and then minus I minus 3i, which is minus 4i. So let's look at those 2 points on the Argand, or those 2 numbers on the Argand diagram. So 6 plus 2i, so 6 plus 2i is up here, 6 plus 2i is here, and this is. What I want you to notice is that you've gone across this way by 2, and you've gone up by 3i, which is what w was. And then if you subtract them, what you're doing is you're going to go to 2 minus 4i. So 2 minus 4i is down here. This is 2 minus 4i. And what I want you to see is you're going down by minus 3i, and you're going across then in this direction by minus 2. So that's the subtraction.